Dawn, welcome back.
Thank you.
Because I know it was super hot in
Oh,
Richmond in so
hot.
many different ways, temperature
Yes.
and the determination. So if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit about what happened.
Well, over 10,000 workers converged on Richmond, Virginia for our first annual People's Workers Convention. We felt the Democrats had their convention, the Republicans had their convention, and so now we're having our convention. And there was no talk of political candidates. There was no really talk about who was running and what their platform was. We wanted to get across our platform, which is 15 and a union, and to raise the minimum wage. So fast food workers, home health care, child care workers, and also many college professors and many airport workers were there for the conference, and it was amazing. The first day when you got there, we were all seated in sections with your state, whatever state you were. The South was in the front. The South was in the forefront because as the South goes, so will the rest of the country, we feel. But the fight is going to be even harder in the South, we know. And so we arrived at the convention, and we had several different speakers that spoke. But who we all anticipated was Reverend Barber. And Reverend Barber was the keynote speaker for Saturday, but he also, earlier in the day, he came out and he really revved up the crowd, and he's just amazing, a pastor in the fight for economic justice.
So I saw some of the pictures of the march. So when did the march take place?
The march took place on Saturday. We had a rally on Saturday. And oh my God, it was so hot. Diane, it was miserably hot. It was 110 degrees in the shade. And we marched down Robert E. Lee, I think it was Boulevard, right up to the Robert E. Lee statue, a huge statue in Richmond. As we know, Richmond is the capital of the Confederacy. And so what it meant for us to be there under that statue and able to speak out and able to talk about labor issues and workers' issues meant so much to this movement. And Reverend Barber spoke there once we marched, and then we got to the rally site at the base of this statue. That's where Reverend Barber gave us the charge to keep fighting.
I saw lots of signs and people wearing T-shirts, obviously, with Black Lives Matter. And so yes. I also understood that so much of this was the connection between the fight for 15, the fight for a union, the fight for worker justice yes. is just inescapably linked to the struggle against racism and other forms of discrimination.
Yes. There are many Black Lives Matter activists that are also linked with the fight for 15. I'm one of them. And because we believe that economic injustice and racial injustice go hand in hand. And when you see the communities that are being crushed under the weight of low wages and the effects on those communities, they're usually black and brown communities. And so BLM also had a segment during the convention. There was several people that spoke in that capacity, in their BLM capacity. But
BLM meaning Black Lives
Matter. And we marched around the convention center. At one point, we had several huge posters of different faces. Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, Eric Garner, Alton Sterling, just so many names you couldn't even go into naming them. So many posters. People from the crowd were just picking out posters and coming around. People who were killed, assassinated, executed by police over the last few years. BLM had that segment, and we marched around in total silence. We were silent, but the crowd was shouting Black Lives Matter. And it means so much in this fight that, you know, the supporters of Fight for 15 also support the Black Lives Matter movement.
Could you say a little more about how it felt to be in Richmond and what the Fight for 15 and Black Lives Matter, how it feels different being in the South?
The difference, I guess, in the South, well, first it was amazing. Like, the convention was totally amazing. The feeling, it was so high energy. It was a lot of energy from the crowd. Even though it was hot, blistering hot, people were sweating. You could see sweat pouring off of them, but they were still just energetic, and people were shouting and chanting, and everyone was happy to be there. We are in the fight for our lives. We are literally in the fight for our lives. Low wages are killing us. Police are killing us. The state is killing us. And so this was a fight that we were just determined to get in and stay in.
And as the South goes, like you said.
Yes. So the rest of, we see the numbers. When they said, oh, the Fight for 15, oh, you're asking for 15, that's unreasonable. How can you ask for 15, that's so much? And we said, is feeding our family unreasonable? Our living wage is unreasonable. And so we see big wins like in California, Seattle, New York, LA. We see these big wins all over except in the South. And so we're gonna just push harder, which, like you said, as the South goes. And so being the home of the Confederacy, slavery, sharecropping, the history in the South of black people have never been one of liberation, have never been a very good history. So this fight is going to be harder, but it's a fight that I believe we can win.
And so in the South, in a lot of these southern states, we have laws that won't allow our cities to raise minimum wages higher than the state minimum wage, which isn't the same. And these victories that we've seen a lot around the country. So all those religious liberty bills with the tag-alongs, we're trying to stop exactly what you're trying to defeat.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, okay, so did this conference or convention, you said you were putting together a platform of what the workers want. So is there something actually going to be written up? Are we going to see something come out that way? Did you set up a strategy for where to go next? Because I would say, really, truly, that this movement has along with the immigrant rights movement, has absolutely shaken the foundation of this idea of rich people should be rich and the heck with everybody else. And so I want to give you big kudos for all of those who have fought for the right to have a union and to get at least a living wage of $15. Although me personally, I'm for upping that a lot more. Because that's barely being able to live at 15, but it's certainly a big change from $7.25, which, as the chant goes,
we can't survive on $7.25.
So my question is this platform going to come out? I mean, we recently have seen Black Lives Matter come out with a real, very cohesive statement about what its demands are. Is there something like that coming out from this?
Yeah, we're going to be having several rallies around this in the future, September, October, and November. And so just stay awake and listen, keep following us. The platform will be announced and demands will come out. And that's all I can tell you. Just keep watching Fight for 15.
Okay, so I know there's got to be listeners out there that have been impressed, have been inspired. Maybe they haven't figured out exactly how to get involved. If they were interested, who should they contact here in the Atlanta area?
Okay, if you are more interested and you want to find out more on how you can get involved with the Fight for 15, you can contact Jara Burke at 404-408-5968. You can like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter at ATL Raise Up. And also, like I said, in September, October, and November, we will be having rallies throughout this whole, as the presidential voting and all of that go on. We are going to turn it up, and so we're going to be turning up more September, October, and November. We'll be having several things right here in Atlanta. And so if you're interested, contact us so you can get involved and come out to some of these rallies.
You want to give that phone number one more time?
It's 404-408-5968.
Thanks so much. And really, folks, pictures, great photos all over the internet about the demonstration. You know, you get to see the faces, the women, the children, the older people, the young people, all different kinds of people. Their signs, really, it was inspiring just to look at it even on the internet. Okay, we'll be right back with Katie Foster. We're going to take this little brief message. Please stay tuned. You are listening to the Labor Forum here on WRFG 89.3 FM. Welcome back. You're tuned into the Labor Forum here at WRFG 89.3 FM. It is one of WRFG's signature programs where we bring up the issues of working people, which, hey, isn't that all of us? As the song starts at the beginning, we do the work. And so is everybody who doing the work, will do the work, has done the work, wherever you are. So I'm excited. It turns out that this is the first time Katie's actually been in the studio. And so we're happy to have her. So we're welcoming Katie Foster. She has a title. It is Atlanta Coordinator of Raising Wages / Cities Campaign. I see her all the time at all kinds of things, including the Atlanta North Georgia Labor Council monthly meetings. And Katie is here because, as if you were listening last month, after last month's Labor Council meeting, a resolution was passed supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. So Katie is one of the people that is now following up on that resolution to take it just from being something on a piece of paper, which is all really very good, and moving it into really incorporating it in union workers' lives and how they respond. So Katie, welcome to the Labor Forum.
Thank you, Diane. I'm very, very happy to be here. And yes, we did introduce a resolution at our council meeting on last month. However, even though you say I'm the one who's kind of bringing this up, I'm actually working with the education and mobilization committees of the Labor Council. And I just want to back up a little bit and tell you about a little about how I'm here and why this comes into my purview. As you said, I'm Katie Foster, and actually I work for a campaign that was developed out of our Executive Vice President from the National AFL-CIO. His name is Tafari Gabre, and his philosophy is, as Dawn told us so much about, as the South goes, so goes the South, so goes the rest of the country. So his thought was initially that we would take 5 cities in the South, take those 5 cities and develop a real partnership between labor and community. That was the key emphasis that was thought of in that process. Those 5 cities in the South were originally Atlanta, 2 in Texas, Houston and Dallas, yes, and 2 in Florida, Miami and Orlando. Those 5 cities now have actually stretched to, I don't even know the number currently, it's about 13 or 14 across the country, but there's still only 5 in the South. And the importance of that again is to look at how do we connect labor and community. We have this thought by people that labor is the mighty weapon and the mighty army that makes things happen no matter what. Well, Diane, Paul, and I can kind of tell you that we're not so mighty as we used to be. Lots of reasons behind that. But one of the things specifically that I wanted to talk about today is the fact that the Education and Mobilization Committees, who actually introduced the resolution that was passed last month at the council meeting, I had this thought one night about 10:30, and I sent all of them a text, and I'm like, what do you guys think of the next step on this? Because a resolution is fine, but it's not action. So what do you guys think about us doing something else? I got a response, I think like in 2 minutes. I got a response saying, yeah, let's do it. So that was wonderful, that was great. And we actually met and we came up with the idea that we really need to have a discussion with labor around what is our role in this movement. Traditionally, labor has had a role in every movement that has taken place. Civil rights movements, women's movement, even human rights movement. We've had a role and a place in that. But labor has always, and I say this because we need to understand history, labor has always had this division within itself that we sometimes have to come to a discussion and figure out what our role is and which direction we need to go. So that's exactly what we want to do on this discussion. We have people from across the country who are energetic and doing all kinds of things in labor to move to be involved in the Black Lives Matter movement. However, we have some who have not come to grips yet that we need to have one of those. There are some who say, why Black Lives Matter? All lives matter. Well, we contend that they do. But we are saying the disproportionate number of people of color who are involved in these situations is just astronomical. So on Saturday the 20th, we are doing what we call a Black Lives Matter symposium. That symposium is going to be around the question of what is the role of labor? What should we be doing? What are we doing? What do we need to do more of? And hopefully we'll be able to, actually some of the people who will be speaking that day will be Milton Jones, who is from United Food and Commercial Workers. He's the regional director. And it's very important because they've been doing a lot of discussion around Black Lives Matter. Michael Brown was a UFCW member. He was a UFCW member.
His mom. Was he too?
It's my understanding he
I know
was
his
too.
mom. His mom definitely
Yes,
was.
I just learned that part this weekend that he was. So it's him. It's Don mentioned Philandro. Mentioned Philando Castile. He was a Teamster. So we are in the picture as labor, whether we admit it or not. It's happening, it's real, and we have to find a way. How do we make this better for our members? How do we make this better for our communities? And how do we make that link between labor and community? It's not just a Fight for 15 or any other organization's fight that's going on around Black Lives Matter. It's all of us. It's all of us who should be concerned about this. So we really want to look at how we do that. And because of the fact that unions historically have been seen as the unifiers, we were the ones who, workers who were disenfranchised or who were not getting economic justice or working conditions were bad. The union is the one who came in to bring people hope and make that difference. So there is no reason why unions should not be a part of the Black Lives Matter movement. And that is the discussion that we want to start on Saturday the 20th. We don't anticipate that we'll come out with solutions that make everything the way it should be, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning that lays the framework for, well, what is our next step? Where do we go from here? So that's the basics of what we want to come out that Saturday. And again, that's going to be Black Lives Matter Symposium on Saturday, August 20th. And it starts at 10 a.m. and goes to 2 p.m. And it's going to be at the Communication Workers of America Local 3204, which is located at 279 Logan Street, Southeast in Atlanta. All are welcome. But we will have that discussion, and if people could let us know they're coming, we will be providing lunch or refreshments. So that's basically what we're doing on Saturday.
All right, so I'm gonna kind of devil's advocate here, because while I think it is extraordinarily true that some unions and some segments of unions have been very key in pushing forward exactly the movement that you were talking about.
Yes.
Welcoming immigrant workers,
Yes.
opening up jobs for women and people of color,
Yes.
taking progressive positions on lesbian, gay, bi, trans issues, taking positions on disabled workers and getting people decent compensation when they've been hurt on the job. On the other hand,
Okay.
we have many situations where unions or segments of unions or leaders of unions have in fact aligned themselves in opposition to that. And I think that, and what I say about that is that allows the boss, the ruling class, the capitalist, the banker, the landlord, the whoever, to put a wedge and to actually weaken and bring down everybody's living standard, their rights, everything. So having said that, do you feel at this stage of U.S. history that given the tremendous amount of work that unions are currently doing, for example, on the issue of low-wage workers, and the fact that, I do remember when Michael Brown was killed, that his mom's union and other unions came out in force in Ferguson, do you feel as though the balance or the greater percentage of unions, because who's in a union has also changed now?
Definitely. I think there are many factors that lend to that, but definitely because of who's in a union and because of all the protections that have been lost. There have been so many changes that have taken place, and particularly here in the South, in a right-to-work state. And that's why the other significance in this symposium. Unions are doing things all over the country, but in the South, in Georgia specifically, it's not happening so much. Again, passing a resolution is great, but a resolution is not action. And I remember a time, Diane, when we may not have gotten a resolution passed.
Oh, I agree.
From the same council. I mean, I really remember that.
It was unanimous, by the way, y'all.
Yes, it was. It was very unanimous and has gone out to all of the affiliates, and others have sent back responses asking, can we use this to frame our resolution? We'd like to do one, and of course, and people across the country are using portions of it, so that's a good thing. But I think based on the history of labor unions also, Diane, is that race has always been a factor. We can not talk about it, or we can be truthful and talk about it. Even from the UAWs.
Absolutely.
And to currently now. There has always been a division based on race, on gender, on even class. I hate to say that, but it's true. So racism, I don't think we'll ever erase. And us doing this symposium is not even thinking that we're going to erase and fix the world's problems or Georgia's or Atlanta's problems of racism. If it were that simple, it would have been done a long time ago. But again, the discussions took place when the UAWs and so forth, when race was used as a divider or wedge that you talk about. It existed then, it exists now. And it's not going to change, but having the discussion and bringing people in who are interested in change and who realize that we have a responsibility to make people's lives safe.
Well, the thing, I'm going to go ahead and then I see Dawn has a question.
Mm-hmm.
I think the thing for myself, I mean, I joined the UAW back in 1976, and there were at the Lakewood Assembly Plant, there were next to no black workers and even less than next to any women workers, and there was tremendous amount of opposition to us being there.
Yes.
It was like, who are you to take collar, meaning white guys, jobs. I have to say that when I retired 30 years later, the workforce had totally changed. Women were very numerous. Black workers and other workers of color were numerous. Openly out gay and lesbian workers, totally a different situation. And I think, again, it's the result of a general social movement in this country that has altered opinions. It is the impact of the barriers being let down enough so that these disenfranchised folks now actually get into a workplace and get into a union. And then what I would have to say about this new wave of workers is that this is a movement led by black women in large part, black people, people of color in general, and of course the Black Lives Matter movement has totally made the intersectionality of all people who are discriminated against and kind of kept on the outside to be central. That if Black Lives Matter, it's every black life who matters. So I wanted you to comment if you wanted a little bit again, and then I saw Don had a question.
Okay, I just wanted to say, I'm not sure that the barriers have been let down anymore. I think that people have become more aggressive about taking their stance and about not giving away power. I think that is one of the things that has happened. And I think that one of the other things is that we're going to see more and more of that because the new movements of today are so different from what they used to be. Social media has a direct impact on a lot of things that's going on now. So I'll just stop at that point. And Dawn, you ask your question.
My question, it might be a little off base, but it was going back to where you were talking about the right to work states and Georgia being one of the right to work. Is that basically the right to work states? Do you find do those states have a higher population of black and brown people that live in those states that are right to work states? Or I'm trying to just understand, like, I guess the connection to this, to stop us from having a union, right? To stop us from building power. I found like they use that, the right to work, to like strip us of our rights, to say, okay, well, if you come in here causing any problems, we can fire you, you're out the door. I'm just now learning about that. And so what I wanted to know was, are they states that are predominantly black and brown people that?
I'm not sure about the statistics on numbers, but I can tell you that we call it the right to work for less.
Okay.
Because that's really what it implies. Employers want to come to the South because they can get cheap labor. Without everybody having to be union members, if there does happen to exist or be a union, everybody does not have to be a member. People choose, they get the same benefits, but they don't pay the same dues, they don't do the same work. So people have, and other places in the country are trying, that's what we mean by so goes the South. That's what the rest of the country is going to do. Because there are other states right now who are trying to become right to work states because they don't have to they won't have to live under those stringent laws that they now have. They don't have to pay the kind of wages that people get under union contracts in other places who are not in right to work states. So in answer to your question, I can tell you that I don't know if there are more people of color in right to work states, but I can tell you that more people of color get less money.
Right. Get hurt by.
Yes.
Right. We're the ones that feel the effect.
Yes.
Well, I can also say historically, the whole impetus to start legislating the so-called right to work comes out of the Jim Crow South. It comes out here, and it has, as Katie said, now other states, Michigan and others are trying to, or have implemented it as well as part of the whole attack really on an organized working class.
It's the new Jim Crow now.
So I forgot to say, we've been joined by Annette Taylor And she's over there very busy on her phone taking pictures and shooting video as well, so she's our on the scene, get it right now.
I'm learning
social
today.
media person. I don't know, Nanette, did you wanna ask Katie a question? Cause she's really super, don't you?
Yeah, no, she's amazing. I'm learning so much from both you and Dawn just in this small time frame that we've been sitting here. I guess I just have a general question. Like, what do you feel, I guess as an organization, like within this movement right now, what is your biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge is labor coming together as labor. On a national level, it's clear
Right.
the direction from our national.
Right.
Black Lives Matter, which is kind of the focus we're talking about now, is a key priority. Yes, unions should be involved in the movement.
Right.
We should be there. Getting some of us to understand that we need to be there is another issue, and particularly in the South, and particularly in Georgia.
Right.
You know, historically, we have to go back and look at history a long way. Before slavery, and especially during slavery, there's two kinds of mentality I used to say all the time when I was organizing workers, and that was that we have two forms of slavery. One is the one that the employer places on us by telling us we have to work if we want to keep this job, we do this, and I don't have to pay you any money and so forth. But the other is the fact that we feel we have to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
And that too is a part of what is handed down from slavery.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Mental slavery,
Yeah,
as the song goes.
absolutely.
So that's the biggest challenge that I see is us uniting as labor.
So Paul just handed me a question, so here it is, word for word. So many workers, especially in the South, don't have the experience of being in a union, working together in a diverse environment. Why are unions so important to making a just society? Just a little simple question from the
Yes.
peanut gallery. Yeah.
You're right, there are so many people. There are more unorganized people than there are organized, and the density is falling every day. We have to change that. The benefits to having a union, I say, always outweigh the benefits of not having a union.
Right.
I'll tell anybody that anytime. Your union may not be what you want it to be, but it's better than having nothing at all. I'm going to give you a little example of me and where I come from. I actually come from Mississippi, and I've been actually in organized labor for almost 30 years now. One of my first real experiences in labor was a poultry plant that was organizing in a little town that I come from called Pelahatchie, Mississippi. There were workers in there who had been working 27, 30 years, these mostly female, mostly African American, and they were working 12, 15 hours a day and not getting breaks sometimes, all kinds of things, no health care. Some of them's check, their whole check going to pay for health care benefits. But I wound up going in there and helping with that campaign. It was the best thing that ever happened in my life. I just happened to be an elected official also at that time, and I went in there on a fluke, actually helping a friend of mine in quality control. But I learned so much about how important the movement was. The question is, why is it important to workers now? It's important because it teaches you how to have respect for yourself. It teaches you how to want more for you and your family and your community. It teaches you how to stand up. Dawn, I remember when I first met you, and now you are a professional speaker. You can talk anywhere, anytime about anything. Right? It teaches you how to take back your power and not give it away.
Yes.
So I think that is basically as simple as I can make it.
And I want to say for those that have been always kept out, the union experience for women, for people of color, for our lesbian and gay community, for folks who have any kind of disability, that knowledge that you have the right to expect what's in the contract and it applies as equally to you as anybody else. You have a right to that promotion, a right to that job, a right to safety, a right to a raise, is just what you said, It is an empowering concept, and the fact that the rest of your workforce is gonna stand behind you when the company tries to shut you down
Yeah.
is critically important, as it is in any social movement, and it's why the great movements are so magnetic, how they draw people in, because people sense in their soul that this is where I can be me, I'm gonna be the best me.
And sometimes we have to help people understand. Sometimes you don't realize what you're missing. If you've never had it, it's one
Right.
of those things you don't know you miss it, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes we have to do that and help people. In the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, you have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired sometimes. And sometimes people have to help you know that you're sick and tired of it.
Yes.
And that you can do something different. So, you know, that's who we are. That's what we do.
True.
So Katie, we just have a couple minutes left. Could you talk maybe a little bit, go back to what's gonna happen on Saturday, and what people should expect, or what they could expect?
Okay, yes. Again, it's going to be a symposium around the issue of Black Lives Matter, and all are invited. But the discussion is primarily for labor to figure out what it is. Our members, our leadership are all invited for us to figure out what should we be doing. People are in the streets all the time. Going in the streets, that's fine. But what should labor be doing in this movement? How do we contribute? What role should we be playing? And that is what this Saturday is going to be about. I don't know if you want to talk about a little bit about.
Oh, sure, there's actually another very important event at the exact same time, so listeners, you have multiple choices here. And there's a rally around the Opportunity School District. We've talked about it here on WRFG and the Labor Forum many times. It's a public rally. It's being held at First Iconium Baptist Church this Saturday. It starts at the same time, 10 o'clock. And this is an issue as well. We've got about a minute left. That the labor movement has also taken a big position on in opposing the privatization, the takeover by the state and by private education corporations of our public schools. Do you want to make just a little bit of a comment?
Just a quick one. One is that, people refer to it as OSD, Opportunity School District. We don't refer to it as opportunity anything. We did refer to it as the school takeover. Yes. Basically that we're talking about racism in some form again, because it is about those schools that have been targeted are the schools that have the highest number of children of color. It is about the legislation that has not funded these schools for the past 10 years. So how can you work if you haven't been given the tools to do it with? But we'd like to say that this is happening on on Saturday. Both of them are going on, but that just proves how many battles we have to fight. And that just proves how much opportunity there is for us to be involved with something that makes a difference in community and people's lives.
So just to repeat, this event is at First Iconium Baptist Church, which is on Moreland Avenue. I don't know the exact number.
542.
529.
542?
542 Moreland Avenue in Southeast. It's Reverend Tim McDonald's church. It starts at 10 o'clock. Well, I want to thank you, Katie Foster, and I want to invite you back again many, many, many times. Everybody's shaking their head. Thank you so much. So this is goodbye for all of us here at WRFG's Labor Forum. We'll be back again next Monday, and next Monday we will have the Southwest flight attendants here.
Okay.
Peace.